So I'm Lua, for those who don't know me. I'm originally from Brazil. I was born and raised in Brazil, and I live in Los Angeles, California. Yesterday I shared a bit about my facilitation journey. Today I'm going to share another story to talk about integration. So I work in the Plant Spirit School. I'm a head coach of this online school, and we certify people to become integration coaches, which is a new thing in the world. So it's really cool that we're all here because we're in a really special time in the world right now where psychedelics are growing and people are having more awareness that they can be very healing. And this is growing so much that there's a lot of harm to be repaired from before, from not knowing that this is a real deal. Everything has been very underground in a gray area. So the world is changing and it's becoming more known and legal in other places. So that's why the importance of certifying people to support others in integration work. So that can be licensed therapists, that can be just creative souls and healers that want to be in that integration support. So that has become a big part of my life, as well as working with Zendo Project. Who here knows what Zendo Project is? It's okay if you don't. So Zendo Project, Zendo is a psychedelic peer support from Burning Man. And this is a community created, all volunteers, therapists, coaches, healers, all kinds of healing service-based people that got together to create a place to be right next to the medical. So how have you guys been to Burning Man? So Burning Man is a big deal. It's a lot of chaos and a lot of things happen. Like people get hurt, people get high, it's a whole thing. And when they decided to create Zendo, the shift, the year that Zendo started, which was 2012, the shift between the amount of people that were going to emergency and having overdoses and having to go to the hospital and have to be medicated, the amount of people, when Zendo started, it completely changed. It got so much lower, the number of people that actually needed medical services. Because we realized that most people, most time, when they were having challenging experiences, they actually needed different kind of support. Psychedelic related or not. It's also emotional. Burning can be very draining and emotional. So not necessarily psychedelic related, but to consider that people go there, a lot of people go there to take psychedelics and all kinds of drugs. So the peer support is a space that people can come or bring friends to receive support. And we call that a sitter, a trip sitter. These days, being a trip sitter is a job. I'm a trip sitter. You can actually hire me to trip sit your experience, which is really cool. It's a professional thing now. But Zendo is a big part of that education, of harm reduction education and peer support. The importance of having someone more grounded than you, best if they're not in the effects of medicine, to support especially challenging experiences. Before that, I've been doing ceremony my whole life. I've been to all kinds of indigenous tribes all over the world. I've been to lineages in Brazil, dedicated years of my life to work with traditions. And the shift for me really happened, I'll tell you this story. My second ayahuasca experience ever, I was 19, and I was in this lineage in Brazil, this traditional lineage that, people are doing this for generations. I had an experience that I took way more medicine than the first time. It was completely new for me. I completely blacked out. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't hear anything. I was like a void. I was literally a void. And I was making sounds. I was yelling. I was just like kind of completely out of my body. And it was very, very, very scary. And the people that were guiding the space, at least my experience of it, it was not very supportive. They were just like, hey, you are very loud right now. Like, you have to chill out. Like, you're bothering people's experiences. Like, you have to be more in control. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means at this point. I have no idea what you're talking about. I can't even hear you. know what I mean? Like, I remember these things. They took me out of this circle. They put me in a room. They called my partner at the time. He was in the force of the medicine, so he had to like support me mentally. It was just like, it was hours and hours of deep suffering. They put me in a shower. They gave me a shower. That made me cold. I was like shaving for like 2 hours. It was just so traumatizing. I can't even tell you. After that, when it finally passed, I felt this huge sense of guilt. And I remember coming back to the circle after being in that little room for hours. I got back to the circle and everybody was celebrating and playing music and dancing, you know, having like a super great time. And I just remember just like looking at that, just crying so much. I was like, wow, I completely destroyed these people's ceremonies. My experience was a shit show. I never want to go back to this thing again. Like, this is not for me. I'm over. And I'm telling you this story because this experience brought so much fear to my body towards ayahuasca. For years, a decade or more. And even though I kept going and kept experiencing in other places and kept having the courage to do the work, back in the day, there was no integration. It was just, you want to heal, you go again. You want to heal, you go again. You want to heal, you go again. So it was just medicine after medicine, ceremony after ceremony, tradition after tradition. And the truth is, I was holding so much fear for not knowing anything. Because in indigenous traditions, integration is their culture. After an ayahuasca ceremony weekend, they don't go home and be in their computers. They stay with the community. They make food, they make art, they dance, they talk. It's their lifestyle. They're constantly integrating and supporting each other. So they have no idea the importance for our society, the Western society, to actually understand certain things. What medicine goes to what medicine? Is this normal? Is this not normal? What happens when someone has this experience? Why do you do it this way? Why do I have to do this? What if I don't want to do this? Like, all these details, they don't even know how to speak that language to us. So years later, I moved here, started working with Zendo, and understood the principles of harm reduction. It's like, oh my God, this is so important. And I realized that that experience, as well as many other experiences I've had, including in traditional spaces, were very harmful. Very harmful. Maybe it's just the way someone talked to me, or it's a little leak in the container. Maybe a medicine over there was a little too much for that person, or a little too little for the other person. I can come back to all of my ceremonies in the past and just like, oh my God, how my life would have been if I had had the right support in each of these experiences, and if everybody in the world could have the proper support. So that's the power of integration, and that's why we're in such a crucial phase of life. Because if you're here in this moment, that means that you're a very, very small percentage in the world of privileged people that have access to these conversations right here. And that has the care to create safer experiences for yourself and for others around you. That brings a sense of responsibility. Privilege comes with responsibility. And that's why I started doing what I do. Because I feel it's my mission and purpose in this world is to help my private clients that are starting this work to have a way better experience than I've had. It's my purpose. I have to do this on behalf of myself, of all the times that I did not have that. And integration is a lifetime. You can have one experience that you're still going to integrate. Like that experience that I just shared, I still integrate that experience constantly. I still think about that. I still think about that time. I still connect with that person. It never ends. So the integration is simply your effort to put care and understanding into the messages that are coming to you in these processes, and to dedicate your life to receive them and take action towards them. Because anyone can have a vision, but not everyone will execute the vision. So when you're in that ceremony space and then you're experiencing a catastrophe, you're experiencing a catharsis, and then like, I'm a healer. I'm here to help the world. I want to forgive my family. I want to, make my dreams come true. I want to heal my relationship with my mother. I want to do this. I want to eat healthy. I want to exercise. I want to this. I want to that. I want to read all those books. And then you come back to life, and then bam, life happens immediately. And in a blink of an eye, all of that certainty gets taken over by stress and lack of support. So in my experience, the key of integration is community. If there's one thing you can take from me, is that you need people in your life that understand the world that you're in. And you need to take that choice. Okay, is that a choice? Is plant medicine part of my life? And that's going to change over time, and I'm going to, take breaks and go deep or go this or go that. However, do I want this to be part of my life? At some point, it's like I don't even have a choice. I can't even say no anymore, right? It is my life. And the medicines do that to people. When you get healed, the medicine's going to tell you, hey, now you heal other people. And a lot of people take that message as like, ooh, now I'm a shaman. So I'm a shaman, now I serve ayahuasca, and I'm going to do my modalities, and I'm going to change everything and create my own style, and he creates this overpower in people. And for me, that's just lack of experience. Because when you do this for a while, it will wear off. When you are in the service, you're not in the service because of the power that you think you're going to get. Because when you are in true healing spaces and helping someone to heal, there's nothing more humbling than that. So I'm a Kumbo practitioner. You guys know what Kumbo is? It's a frog medicine, and it's like a natural vaccine. And the process of Kumbo is very humbling. You're purging. You're like in your most weak space for like 40 minutes. So I see people in their biggest vulnerable spaces because I've been to these spaces too. I work with this medicine myself. And I see people pooping in their pants and passing out. I think I just broke this. See people passing out, see people crying or feeling very miserable. And every time I'm in this circle, it's like, I feel so humble by the medicine, by this work, and so humbled by the true healing of it. There's no space for thinking that I'm doing this because this is cool. It's not cool. It's very profound, and it requires really a decision of life. So I'm saying all this to you because I'm not saying that you should be a facilitator of any kind. I'm saying that the medicines call you to support people. And that doesn't need to be in the medicine space. Because the post-medicine space and pre-medicine space is the same amount of importance. The work starts when you say yes to the ceremony. And then it never ever ends. So when people say like, oh, you enter in this world and you never leave, I think that's true. But in a good way. We just get to balance that work ourselves to really continue this path. So what I want to share with you guys is a way to categorize your experiences that is like a framework that will be very supportive. If you have your phone, you want to make notes, I invite you to do that. Otherwise, you don't have to. Huh? Sure. Is it closed? Yours is closed, yeah.
But you can continue.
If you don't have notes, that's okay. It's easy to understand. If you want to go to the other workshop, guys, feel free to leave. I just want to even before we say bye, I would love to stay in touch. Please, let's get each other's connections. I would love to get your email, to get to enter you in my world, inviting you to my integration group calls, and stay connected if you're ever in LA. I would love to make sure I get everybody's contact before we fall apart. So what I want to share with you is how to categorize your experience in a way that will be very supportive for you to apply after that. So in integration, we call the green light, the yellow light, and the red light. So I want you to just tune in right now, if you can take a breath, and choose an experience that feels aligned for you. It can be a challenging experience, it can be a blissful experience, it could be the ceremony yesterday, or it could just be an experience that is alive. Maybe even not necessarily you, but a person that you know. It could also be that. Maybe someone told you a story that sticked with you. You can also think about that story. Yeah? What medicine came through? Can you hear it? You have a story? Ayahuasca, okay. You think about a space, a moment?
A moment.
An experience you've had or someone you know that you feel called to do a little integration practice?
Like share the experience?
Just not right now, to just think about the experience. Just choose an experience. It could be any experience. Yeah? We're on the same page? So I'm going to show you how to categorize your experience to best support your integration. Green light. What's the green light? Green light are the insights you get that are you are resourced enough to come back and apply immediately. Example, I was in a ceremony and then I get this hit like, wow, I need to call that person because we're going to collaborate and I really want to make that project happen, and that's the person that I want to collab. Like, whoa, thanks for that certainty that this is my next step. And then I get home and I get excited and I text the person and I'm like, hey, let's do this. Like, I really want to connect with you, and I make it happen immediately. Or maybe you had an insight like this, like, I realized that I need to eat a little better. I'm not taking care of my food. I'm just eating too much fast food, and I feel like I really want to start making my own food. And then you get home and then you just and then it happens. Maybe your partner or your family, your roommates, they're already kind of in the healthy lifestyle, so it feels very empowering to come back home and to just kind of create a new lifestyle for yourself. These are green light, things that you received and you resourced enough to just apply it on your own immediately. And these changes become permanent, become who you are. Is that resonating? Is there any green lights that you can feel that it became who you are, you were ready to embody that, and it shifts you forever? It shifts who you are. It's an internal breakthrough. And then we have the yellow light, which is the majority of the work. Yellow light are the things that you understood, that you're ready to go, and then you come back to your life, and then in the beginning, like, oh, I want to exercise and I want to create a morning routine, and that's it. I'm getting back home and I'm going to start 2 hours in my morning. I'm going to do an exercise and start working, wake up at this time and finish at this time. And I get back home and then I start that and I do that for like 3 weeks. And then suddenly like, oh, whatever, when I realized I stopped. Or maybe someone like, oh, I want to stop smoking cigarettes. And then they come back home and then they stop, but then maybe their roommate smokes, or maybe their partner smokes, or maybe their job is very stressful. And then in a few weeks, they're back. So this yellow light is the most part of the work for everybody. The most part of the work is to receive all of these messages, go back home inspired, and then life happens and these changes fade away. So if you can reflect on that experience, what were the yellow lights? What were the things that came through, but you kind of fell off the wagon? And then we have the red light. The red light, it's when during the experience, as was happening, something harmful happened. Something didn't work. Let's say my example, my story. That ayahuasca ceremony, something didn't click. He was traumatizing, he was difficult. I left the evening feeling like shit. That's a red light. So there was harm, and now I stayed with this harm. You might not have red lights. Hopefully, you're not going to have red lights often. Maybe some of you who here can think that you have had red lights in experiences before. Harm that was created. Hopefully, that's why we're doing this, to avoid red lights. Because we don't want them. So when you categorize yourself that way and your experience that way, so let's say when people tell me their experience, if it's a client that I'm working with and I can kind of have a sense of their journey, I can understand that the green lights are the things that you don't need extra support. Your inner resources are taken care of. You're taking care of yourself. You got this, you're ready for that change, you're resourced enough, you got this. The yellow light means that you need some sort of accountability. You need some sort of support, inspiration, or guidance to make those changes become permanent. That support can be anything. It could be a friend to have that conversation. It could be a therapist. It could be a mentor. It could be a coach. It could be a group community circle. But you need some sort of accountability. And it's based on what you need. Now that you know what you need, it's like, okay, I really want to exercise and this shit's not really happening. So obviously, or I need a gym buddy that can go with me every time to make sure I go. Or maybe I need a fitness coach. I need some sort of thing. I can't do it by myself. Right? So now I know. And I have a plan. Oh, this is the kind of person I want to find. If I really want to exercise, I want to find a person that can help me to make that happen and be accountable for that for me. A lot of the times we need to pay someone to show us the way. And we need to honor that. We need to honor the need for the support. The red light, whatever happened in the red light, that means that trauma needs to be repaired. You need help, period. You need co-regulation. You need someone else to support you heal from that experience. So I have had many sessions about this story that I'm telling you. I actually share this story pretty often because it's constant integration for me from that experience. So I know that every time I talk to someone, let's say the other head coach of the school, he has a lot of space for me. We have a lot of, our own support system. And I share my ayahuasca stories, and he just gives me so much love, so much understanding, so much context. And this is a constant healing. So when you know someone that had a red light, you know that they need help. And you can help them to realize that they need help, because they might not know. They might have had a traumatizing experience, and they don't even know that there is possibility of integration support, because it's a new thing. And it's one thing is to go to a regular therapist. The other thing is to go to a psychedelic therapist. One thing is to go to a life coach. The other thing is to go to a plant medicine coach. Because the experiences you share are going to be normalized and understanding in a different way. Yes? I'd love to hear what came up for you on this. Erica, I know you're taking notes. Your red lights, your green lights.
Well, for me, I was just, the red light for me, interesting just as you're talking about support, like professional support through that. I definitely realized that the red light for me, it was a very, traumatic an intense confrontation with like past trauma that I had experienced that I did need to get professional support actually like working through. And I'm just very lucky that the therapist that I have now, unlike those that I had in the past, is someone who is integrated in spirituality, energetic healing, and plant medicine work. But that definitely, I feel like in past instances, if I were to bring up an experience that I've had, they probably would have referred me to Kaiser's like drug addiction program or something, as opposed to the therapist that I have now who's like started the process of doing like the various like cognitive behavioral therapies and like integration work to help me to actually unpack the trauma that I experienced as a child that led to that breakdown that happened.
Anybody else who calls to share what came out in this exercise?
For me, after my first peaceful experience earlier this year, integrating back into society when I came back home was very difficult for several months because I didn't feel like back home that I had people that understood or utilized plant medicines or a friend support group or something that I could talk to or was in that kind of headspace. So I had to kind of work through it by myself on my own, which was fine, and I was able to get through it, but I did struggle for several months afterwards.
So last year, that Hapé ceremony that happened on Friday, there was a lot of red lights. A lot. I heard so many stories. I heard more red lights than green light stories. And that's when I realized the importance of repair harm. So my intention yesterday was to repair the harm that was created. And to repair the harm, we need to go gentle. We have to, no pressure. Because we need to understand that the space that creates the safety is not the medicine. The medicine is in the hands of anybody these days. And we can't control that. The only thing we can control is the space that we're in and how safe we feel with the people that are here. Because it's not the medicine that's doing the healing. It's you. You are the medicine. You are the healing. And then the space and the people and the environment is what leads you to heal yourself. The medicine is the pathway that takes you there. It's an amplifier. Psychedelics are amplifiers. So if you take a psychedelic in a rave, that your shit's gonna be amplified. And if you're feeling fear or angry, or that's gonna be amplified. And if you don't have a place that's safe to be amplified, that's caused harm.
Yeah, I just had a question. I was hearing a lot of just like I guess perspectives and feelings about folks telling us about their experience last year, and I heard some people saying like, oh well, yeah, I want to get like basically like I want to get my shit rocked, like I want to be blown away or like terrified or like have my whole like life ripped apart. And I guess like what do you have to say for that like expectation that it's supposed to be some big, that people think it's supposed to be some big traumatizing experience?
Thank you for that question. I would say it's lack of education. Facilitators didn't educate people enough. So it's not people's fault to have this perception. They might think that that's how it's done, right? I have to go very strong. I have to like purge and have this whole thing. It seems like that's what's the purpose of it. They probably didn't have nobody to tell them, hey, actually it doesn't work like that. These experiences are not the goal. And for them to happen, they need to have a proper space. It's an initiation. We need the proper space. Here is such an intense space. So many people. We don't have space in a container to actually provide this kind of experience. They're not needed right now, in this moment, right here. That causes that's a lot of discernment you have to have. And my intention here is to really give you that discernment, like your own discernment. That's what's going to guide you to this path, and to make sure that you're safe and anybody else is safe. Because from now on, the amount of people that are going to come to you and going to say, yeah, I facilitate microdosing of mushrooms. I do somatic healing. I'm a trauma-informed practitioner, and I can offer you a very transformative space. Okay, someone that maybe studied trauma-informed on their own, or just kind of starting this journey, maybe did a few ceremony sessions and are really inspired to this work. That's cool, but that doesn't mean that they have the experience of it. You can study all these things, but it's the kind of thing that you have to experience to really understand, to really embody it. So we want to be very mindful with how people title themselves and actually their background. If they have had just a academic background, that's great, because these days we want to have an academic background. I'm so grateful that now I do this and are certify people, like the importance of actually creating a rule for, like, how can we tell you that you are a good practitioner? Like, how can I label that these days? We need a certain rule, right? However, is there personal experiences that really make a difference? And we want to make sure that we feel that towards people. Any other questions? Do you have any questions that you feel a call to know?
Do you have any advice as of what could be a red light, not in terms of integration, but to know whether someone could be a good facilitator or not?
Yes, I got you. Intake forms. Intake forms. When you're working with someone, if they have an intake form, hey, do you want to work with me? Do you want to do integration coaching? Great, can you please fill out this intake form? In this intake form, I'm going to be asking all of your medical history, and I'm going to be asking your experience with medicines, the medicines you have experienced, and I'm also going to ask you, what do you want from this work? Based on that intake form, if, let's say, I'm not a certified therapist, right? So if I get someone in an intake form and they tell me they have been taking antidepressives, they are in medication for years, or maybe they have bipolar disorder, if they're working with medications like that, I prefer referring them to a therapist than to work with me in coaching. Because I'm not familiar with all these medications. I'm not trained and familiar. Everything can happen. I actually have experience. A client that discovered she had bipolar disorder after she did the medicine work. And she's still integrating it. And I take responsibility for that because I didn't know these things before. So these days we need to be very careful with that because each medicine combines differently with medications and cases. So if the person has an intake form, that's a good sign. But obviously that's not all of it, but that's a good start. Okay, do they know what they're doing? Do they know their specialty? And are they embody who I want to be? Who they are embodies the energy that I want for myself. Do they provide that safe space? And what's their traditional experiences? Because one thing is to work with someone in the academic realm. That's a preference. Some people prefer academic minds. Other people prefer more shamanic minds, more perspectives from indigenous people. For me, a lot of my teachings, I asked my teachers what they think about something. What do you think about cigarette addiction? What do you think about is the healing of the world? And their ways of life influences my ways of life, and that's my approach. Other people might prefer, no, I want to know the neuroscience of everything. I want to know, it really depends on who you are and where you're at. So you want to also know their style, and it combines with the style. And as well, the experience with the medicine. So some people come to me like, oh, I'm really learning, really studying ayahuasca right now. That's my path. Or psilocybin. I'm really doing microdosing. I want to share microdosing with the world. I want to facilitate microdosing. It's like, okay, is this practitioner familiar with that medicine? Because each medicine is a world. It's a life game. It's like a forever path. So if you meet someone that's just going to tell you that, oh yeah, I can teach you how to facilitate all medicines, it's a red flag. Each medicine is a lifetime. So if they know what they're doing, they will tell you, hey, I can support you in this medicine, this medicine, this medicine. If that's your calling, maybe you go to this other person right here that's more experienced in this other medicine. I think these are all good signs. And then it's a community. So the last topic I want to share here that I hope that you all get. The social aspect of ascension and transformation, for me, has been the hardest. Because back in the day, there was no like monthly integration group calls, Zoom calls with people from all over the world. It's like, no. So I did not have that. And I had to like separate from my friends that were just doing a bunch of drugs. I had to truly like take myself out of that world, be alone and feel very lonely for years, until slowly I started meeting my people. And even that meeting my people has been taking years and years and years for now for me to say that, yeah, I have my medicine friends that I can call and I can integrate, that I can ask for support, that we're family, that some of them are in other countries. And that's what I want to bring it to you. This is a very small community. So having the privilege of connecting online is very special. You might not have the people that you actually want to share this work with around you. You should not expect that. If you have that, good for you. But if you don't have that, I highly encourage to get connected to this world online, because there's amazing people out there doing amazing work. And for me, when I found that, now I connect with that, and I go to this call, and there's like people from all over the world, and we're all having the same intentions and views of our service in this world, I feel so supported. I feel like, wow, now I can go everywhere in the world, and I know someone that I can reach out that will probably show me a safe space to go, or a new world to be, or at least a place to stay. It's kind of like Zouk family, you know, like this is our Zouk family, our Zouk people that we want to stay connected. The psychedelic space is very important to have that too. Yes, if you're feeling alone in this work, it's normal. Don't expect that you won't feel alone. But these days, we get to connect and we get to do this work profoundly. Do you have any other questions?
What is your community for?
No.
I've been doing sound healing and Reiki therapy for, it's only been going on for years now. And I just started working with actual clients like a year and a half ago. And a friend who felt really confident in me referred someone to me who was dealing with a lot. And although that person felt better after the session, I felt really ill and weak for like a few weeks afterward. And I didn't really know how to deal with what I was.
Thanks for sharing. That happens. That happens with me many times. So saying yes to people that I realize after that I might not have been the best practitioner for them. That's just part of the work. And we learn that. And we learn, you know what, next time when someone comes to me in that space, maybe I'm not the right person for them. Or if you feel like this is the kind of people that I feel called to help, and then it's a matter of working on you and your building up your energetic boundaries. Being in service is a service, just like any job. Now it's just like any other job. For me to go to any job, I have to be grounded, present, focused, ready to work. Right? So I feel like there's a point in life that we separate, oh, I want to help people, and then you just start helping everybody, and then you realize that some people are not ready to be helped. And then you get to that pace of like, you know what, I actually sitting back here, I'm doing my thing, I'm doing my life. If I'm meant to support someone, it will just be organically, and they need that help, and it's going to feel good for all of us. So for that to happen, you have to step back and create energetic boundaries for how you offer your work. So potentially working with a person that can help you build that energy through experiencing yourself, maybe you experiencing sound healing, to see how someone could experience that. You know what I mean? Things like that, practicing. Any other questions?
So, advice or resources for somebody who doesn't want to be a practitioner, who doesn't like want to like take on that responsibility and that like space in life, but someone who wants to just be a better friend, a better like have a better understanding of it, or even like just like more educated for yourself.
Yes, totally. Thanks for asking that. I feel like every person should be that. You know, it's how to be a better friend, how to be a more helpful person. Because and then when shit hits the fan, you're the one that can help. So it might not be like your job, but you're the one that can help, and that's very needed in the world.
Yeah, I had that. Like I had a couple friends that were just there for me when it was a very challenging time for me, and I feel like they saved my life. Like, even though it physically wasn't bad, but they don't know that they did like all the right things, and like how do you prepare yourself for that?
So I call that role a guardian. If I'm a sitter, I'm professionally, intentionally sitting for you, right? There's agreements, we agree, this is how it's gonna work, this is how we're gonna talk, this is how this space works. If I'm a guardian, it's because I'm just in a normal space of my life, walking around, and then suddenly my friend is going through something and needing company, and now I'm gonna be her guardian. So I just embrace that role. So I'm gonna guardian her experience. I'm gonna be that support space. Being a guardian also requires training, because it's crazy how much harm we can cause unconsciously. It's insane. It's a forever lesson. I learn every single time I'm in space, like, oh, that little thing right there, I could have avoided. Or, this little thing here could have been different to support the energy. I'm like constantly learning more principles of guardianship on the go. So the way I changed my path of, let's say, I've been working with Kumbo, serving Kumbo for over 10 years. These days, I prefer doing the Kumbo retreat, people that want to cleanse their bodies and reset, take care of their health. It's where we do guardianship training. So you're not just coming to do your work, you're also learning how to hold space for other people. Because for me, that's a very big part of integration. The medicine might not tell you, hey, now this is your job. Maybe one day, but the medicine is telling you, hey, everybody deserves to be safe, and now you know how it feels to be safe. So now you can provide that when it's needed. Medicine is telling us that message, and I think that's what the calling that you're feeling. So I think being a guardian is to do your own work. Is to commit to the initiations that will heal you and increase, expand yourself. Being in these educational spaces with facilitators that are integration focused, so that you're not just doing your own work, but you're also understanding the work, integrating the work. Like I have a client that every time we do certain sort of healing practice in our sessions, sometimes we work with Cannabis for coaching sessions, and sometimes we do these practices that are so deep and magical, and then we come back from the practice, and then she's like, okay, how did you do that? Like, what happened there? And then we get to process her own experience. So for her, it feels like I experienced the healing, and then I also understand what happened there. So you kind of gain both at the same time. You're gaining a framework to continue that work, as well as you have to experience first. Yeah, so there we have guardianship training. Zendo has harm reduction training online, and you can check their website and enter their email newsletter, and then they share when they have their trainings. Their trainings are awesome. And or initiations. I do guardianship initiations. Mine are more coming in person and doing it in person. And then I also do monthly integration calls. This is new for me. I've been doing group programs and group trainings or one-on-ones for a while. But now I'm starting these monthly group calls that you can come just for one call, just to see what's up, see if you like the community. We have a WhatsApp group. We stay in touch. We share what we do. We share songs. We share prayers. And I would love to invite you guys to join whenever you feel called. maybe you're preparing for an experience that you're feeling afraid and you want to receive some guidance and feedback, or just want to connect with other medicine people that are doing beautiful work in the world. Any other questions?
For me, I'm just very surprised because this sounds extremely similar to my experience meditating. And in my head, now that you're explaining this, like green light, yellow light, red light, I think all of these stories I've heard from friends and people I know fall on the green or red light. So I think part of my fear towards these practices are that either I'm gonna have like some crazy enlightening experience that I might not know how to handle, or what scares me most is that it's gonna be a traumatizing experience because I won't know how to react to what's gonna happen, or I'm gonna be extremely traumatized from the experience. But now I'm learning that the biggest percentage falls in that middle ground of neither nor. And I'm trying to understand more about it. It sounds like you just have that experience with the medicine, and then it's like an ongoing process afterwards of integrating that experience that might take a few hours. As my understanding of it was more, you just have like an ever-changing little experience, and then you go and then it's done. As the meditation was like the long path, and the medicines are the short path towards the enlightenment instead. But now I'm hearing a lot of similarities with my own personal path with meditation.
Yes. Meditation is an integration tool, if not the most powerful one. We should be sitting with ourselves and quietly. It's one of the big practices, breath work, yoga, meditation, all these wellnesses, practices that are used for generations, that people are already integrating life on its own. They are the best tools for integration. A big part of integration is self-care.
So my biggest question, I guess, is how do we interact with the medicine? What could that bring towards us that we don't have within ourselves, or part of ourselves that we cannot use or come up with how the medicine could bring? Like, I'm just very curious.
Thank you for your question. I actually just had a class about that. You're asking, like, where can I go with the medicine that I cannot go with meditation?
Yeah, like, why would I actually need it? Like, because this might be like extremely Western mindset, but I hear medicine, it's like, am I sick?
Yes.
So
that's a great question. I would say that what the difference where you go is that the medicine is a spirit. So it's an external life force that is taking you to an experience, to a meditation, to a place, to a dimension. So the wisdom and the lessons that you get from that, you're never going to get from meditation. They're different approaches. One is not better than the other. Meditation is your self path, getting to know yourself and getting connected to the spiritual realm in your own way. The medicines is that, hey, let's go right here. Pop. You're going to experience this, you're going to remember this, you're going to heal this, you're going to work on this trauma, you're going to go to this place, you're going to meet these beings, and you're going to experience this, 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 and this. You don't have much of a choice. So it's a path of, it's a calling for the spirit. And these spirits are in the forest. It's a calling for the forest, the jungle. And they are animals, they work with animals, they work with plants, like you see with indigenous traditions, their chant, their voice, it's also a code. So you can't, they take you to places that you would never go by yourself, never. Because they are singing in the medicine, their voice is literally like a ladder. Every vowel is a ladder that's taking you to a dimension of space. So it's an experience that you are taking. That's the difference.
How will you make the choice of which medicine you need at which time?
I would say a lot of people have a calling, like I'm interested in this. I mean, you know, people already have a calling. When people don't have any calling, they're just beginning this work, I recommend talking to someone that has experience in multiple medicines so that you can share your journey, your needs, your desires, your situation, what you're seeking, your intention, and find what medicine, get educated. Oh, this medicine will help me more for mental health issues. This medicine will help me more for my healing capacities or ancestral lineage healing. Oh, this medicine here is more embodiment, more in my body. Oh, this medicine here, I'm going to be out of my body. So you kind of understand that, get educated, and then it's going to feel, oh, this feels right. And the thing is that they all combine. Some people tell me, like, I love mushrooms, but I don't love bufo. Or I love bufo, but I don't like ayahuasca. Oh, but I smoke DMT, but I don't do this other thing. Oh, Hapé, I don't like Hapé. I don't like Kumbo. I like this. I like that. There's nothing to like. There's nothing to like. They're a family. They combine. They work together. You can't just like one more than the other. Like, you can have preferences, obviously. You can have the ones that are, I have the ones that are in my toolbox, and then the ones that I just visit sometimes. But I don't have disrespect for any of them because they work differently and together. One experience will take you to the other experience. That's another good sign too when you work with the facilitator. If the facilitator tells you, oh yeah, this medicine's going to solve all of your problems. That's all that you need. That's not true. They're lying because they probably don't know enough that they all play a big role. Yeah, and being trauma-informed is to start slow, no pressure, lower doses, which before, that wasn't a thing. You go to a traditional space, they're going to give you, take this big cup. Oh, but I've never taken this big cup. That feels very scary. Like, that's what you're going to take because everybody's going to take this big cup. That used to be like that. Now it's like, no, oh, I'm scared. Okay, let's take less. No, but I'm really scared. Let's take less. Here, you want to drop? It's okay. Now everything is way more like that. And if you work with I recommend these days, because you have that capacity now, you have that resource, is to connect with a community that have preparation calls. If I do a retreat, a group retreat, we are preparing months before. We do many calls before. We're very connected before, which most ceremonies you just pay and then you go, and then you meet the facilitator there. That's harmful. That can be very harmful. You want to meet the people first. You want to meet the community. You want to meet the facilitator. You want to ask your questions. You want to be well prepared. So these days, some people that are integration approach, they are doing these preparations and then post calls. And then with some facilitators, you can work with integration 101, or maybe some groups will have the facilitator usually is just in the facilitation role, and then other service providers are supporting with integration. When looking for a place that has that framework, it's way better now. Yeah.
To your point about like the meditation versus the psychedelics, I found that for me, there are things that meditation would like to touch upon that with a psychedelic, it was much more intense, and so it was not possible to like pull back from it, and therefore brought about like some change in my life. When I would meditate for like long periods of time, so like over an hour, I used to feel like I was drowning, like I couldn't breathe. I would start to feel this panic in my chest, like I'm drowning. And then I would stop meditating because it was scary and unpleasant, and it made me think maybe I was doing something wrong, or like I should pull back from that. But with the psychedelics, whatever you're experiencing, you can't really pull back from. And so that's kind of scary in a way, but can also be really healing. I took some psilocybin, a large quantity, and I had a red light experience where I felt over and over and over for many hours like I was drowning. And this was after experiencing for years meditating that feeling of arriving at feeling like I'm drowning and then stopping meditating. And like in my hallucination, the house I was in was filling with water. And I was like in the room that I was in, and the room would fill up to the top of the ceiling, and I was drowning, and it would happen over and over and over again. It was the most terrifying experience, you know. And after that happened, it took like a year of processing that experience, and through that processing, I talked to my mother about it, because it really felt like a loss, like a death. And when I explained to her, you know, what happened and that I had like drowned and died over and over, she told me about when I was a little child, I drowned when I was 4 years old. I was at the beach and I was resuscitated. And I had no knowledge of this. I don't know if it's because I was so young or because it was traumatic that I didn't remember it. But they never told me about this because they thought that that was unnecessary to like share with me and would be traumatic to share or scary, so they just never said anything about it. So like through meditating, this was still alive in some part of my brain, you know, this experience. And through meditating, it's like I was like brushing up against it constantly, but I never actually arrived there because it wasn't like a large enough experience or a powerful enough experience or something that I couldn't escape from that really made me have to address what it was.
I also say that I call these medicines angels. Yeah, another word for them would be miracles that show up because without them you wouldn't have that. Some people don't need them. Some people like me, if it wasn't the medicines that completely knocked me out, and we call apanhar in Portuguese, it's like the medicine actually kicked your ass. I had to get my ass kicked many times, girl, many times, to wake up up, to change who I was, to see my shadows, to want to heal, and to even be open for meditation. Took me many bad trips to even understand that, oh, I guess meditation's kind of interesting. I want to know what's up with that. You know what I mean? So I would say they're exactly like you said, they're medicine. So I'm sick. Yeah, we're sick spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, and we can rely on, you know, if we're resourced enough to rely on our self practices to heal that, great. But other parts of us, we need external help. And they are one way for that help. The thing is that the way they're being spread is through medical. So it's easier to make psychedelics legal and to have these conversations with the mainstream world if we talk in that concept of like, hey, just so you know, cannabis heals cancer, okay? So we should legalize because it's healing people. That's a great conversation to talk to a politician. If I come to a politician and say, hey, so cannabis, it's used in India for people to get illuminated. And it's a spiritual practice that it's really powerful and ceremonial in the world. So because of that, it should be legal. Most people would say, okay, whatever. We have other shit to take care of. We have crimes going on. Right? So even though we talk a lot on the medicine aspect because they are healing, there's also the cultural use of them. That is not necessarily, I'm sick, I want to heal. Indigenous people don't even say that. For them, ceremony is work. They take that as your obligation. They say, like, it's my obligation to sit in community and pray, to be a better person in this world, and to wake up tomorrow and be a better leader for my family and my community. This is my job, this is my work, this is where I come and receive the messages that I need to hear to show up and do better in the world, to take care of the earth, to give me discipline, to be a better person, to create a better world for ourselves. So they're not thinking like, I'm sick. We are thinking more of that. That's why we're going more towards. But the cultural approach is more and more, it's way more about healing the world and being better people and taking this work as a sacrament. I'm here in service. The medicine is serving me to heal and release the parts that no longer serve me so that I can be a better person tomorrow for the world. Because if everyone had that heart, if everyone in the world, every human being in the world had that heart of, I'm here to do good in the world will be very different. So it is a responsibility. It is a responsibility to say, I do want to do good in the world. And I believe that I can have a life that is good, with good people around, even though the world's falling apart. If I believe in that vision, I have to work for it. And so we all have some work to do because we're all toxic and polluted by the media and the system. So it's a never-ending work. Last question, then we finish. Any other questions?
I have a question about how do you deal with people that may think that working with plant medicines, where you could experience other beings or spirits, is like, you know, devil's work or demonic, that you're interacting with demons, and it's like a, you know, especially people that are really religious in Christianity, maybe. I've had experiences with people thinking that what I'm, you know, participating in with ceremonies and things like that, that it's dangerous for me, or, you know, that I'm, you know, interacting with demons and such. And I have a hard time, like, being able to maybe explain, not that I have to, but where they don't think that I'm doing bad things, that I'm actually doing things that are, you know, healing me as a person.
So how do I deal with that? I stay very quiet. I don't share my life often. I don't talk to people that don't know much about that world. And if I meet someone that is in the religion perspective, I actually take the humble seat and I ask them questions. Like, I love talking to Christians and evangelics and all kinds of religions. I love talking to them, and I just ask them all things. Like, so what is God for you? And what does it say in the Bible? And what is this? And what is that? Like, I get very curious, and I learn so much from them. I learn so much because I get to learn their perspective and take how that works for me, without having to impose that I think different. I completely respect where they're at. And I think that, yeah, that's the thing. When you're in a privileged position, when you know something else that someone else doesn't know, it takes that responsibility of like, yeah, I can come with this superpower and tell you, no, I know this other way of seeing life and this other way of talking about Jesus. Oh, Jesus for me is this, this, and this. I could come with that perspective that's not going to do anything. It's just going to make people hate you. Or I can come with the place of like, ooh, so what is Jesus for you? Tell me about it. You know, and just stay quiet. Because when you heal, you embody that healing. Like, my parents know very little about my healing path. Very little, not even 1%. And they look at me and they think I'm a miracle. They're like, what the hell happened to you, girl? Like, you are a miracle. Like, what did you do? I thought you were going to be a lost girl in the world. And then I just say, like, yeah, I know. I've done a lot. Places that you have no idea. where I had to go to come now and embody that energy that now you're proud of. That for me was really the lesson of like how seeing my parents not knowing my life and how much I don't need to tell them. Because if I tell them all the stories, why? They're just gonna make them worried or judge me or not agree with me. So it's more about like, great, you respect my path because you see that I'm happier and I'm embodying that. So that's enough. Thank you. Lemay, do you have a question?
Yes. A question and a little response to what Mia asked. But first, I wanna check with you because my experience and understanding is very limited. But do you believe, from what you learned, that these different plant medicines with different compounds, different ceremonies, do you believe they all take people to the same place?
If they all take people to the same place, no. They don't take people to the same place. They are amplifiers. So they will amplify what's already inside of you. And then depending on the space that you're in, if it's a safe and healing container, that amplification of a shadow or a memory or a trauma or a path will be amplified, so you're going to see it, you're going to look at it, and you're going to take the choices and the pathways. So it's different for everybody. We might all take the same medicine and have completely different experiences. Does that make sense? In Hapé, for example, some people are very visual. They see all these kind of things. They have all these visions. Other people don't see anything. They just like, yeah, I just felt the medicine and it's gone. So I didn't have much of a insightful experience.
And Hapé is non-psychoactive.
Hapé is non-psychoactive. It's considered entheogenic. So entheogenic is a better, proper name. We don't say much this name because people don't know what it means. But entheo is a passage to God. It's a spiritual connection. So psychedelics and plant medicines, and not just plants, but some animal plant medicines, are named entheogenic. So Hapé is tobacco, which is an entheogenic medicine. It's meant to connect you with the spiritual realm, but not in a psychoactive way. A psychedelic way. It's psychoactive, it's going to work with your brain, but not in a psychedelic way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what Mia was saying about like meditation versus psychedelic, I was thinking an analogy with even like just actual medication for other sickness. For example, fever. We can totally beat it over like with physical method, with waters and ice. But then there's also just medication that you can take, like Tylenol, Advil, that you can beat it much faster. I think, do you feel like it's a similar analysis? Like people can do much harder work to get there, as what Amanda was saying. But the plant medicines kind of give you a more easier pathway to get that experience.
That's the thing. I wouldn't call them easier because the path to a breakthrough, depending where you're at in life, can be very challenging. Like these experiences that are forever live in our hearts. It can be so difficult that I wouldn't call it easy, because even though you did the work in one night, it was so challenging that it was not easy.
Right.
You might take your whole life to understand that.
It's
so depending on the healing that you need, depending on the lesson that you need to learn, the medicine is going to kick your ass somehow.
Yes, in that sense, it's not easy.
It's going to kick your ass at some point. You don't want to expect to always be blissful, because some lessons you just learned through seeing the realness of where you're at. You have to take that choice. It takes a moment that the medicine's going to tell you, or you purge this right here. It's like you're going to let go of this right here. It's your choice. Do you want to let go of this? Do you want to let go of being right in the situation? Or you still want to be right? What's your choice? Like ayahuasca talks to you like that, straight up. And you're like, no, I'm right. I don't want to let go. I'm not ready to forgive. Okay, so let's feel all these things right here and let's understand all these other things. And it's like, okay, I let go. Okay, thank you. You're right. I was not right. You're totally right. So it's like I had to go through that route to understand. Maybe someone else, like these days, I'm more like, hey, you gotta let go of this. Okay, cool. I'm down. hey, you want to do this thing right here? Yes. Show me right. Like, I already accept the challenge because I know if I don't, I will have to learn in other ways. Does that make sense?
It was interesting because as she was explaining her experience, that didn't sound like meditation, but it sounded very similar to my birth experience, giving birth to my kid. There's no way of getting out of there. Like, you just have to make it through, and it's a very intense experience, and you have to figure out a way to live through it. And it can get very intense. So,
Yes.
yeah, that didn't sound like meditation.
And also, like, the good connection that we can close from this is that you have your third eye right here. You have a pineal gland. You are already psychedelic. You don't need medicine necessarily to be psychedelic. The difference is that we're full of fluor in our water and lots of chemicals in our food that are they're designed to calcify your pineal gland and close your spiritual senses. So we used to be very high connected, and the system made this part close. So now we're very logical. However, you can activate your third eye and your spiritual senses because you have DMT, you have even cannabinoids, the receptors in your body. So meditation, breath work, they can be psychedelic experiences even without medicine because they're activating the third eye. And then you're going to see visions, and then you're going to open up, and then you can have a catharsis experiences through these other things sober. If you take a medicine, it's kind of unlocking that path for you. And some medicines over time, they decalcify. So Sananga, it's a medicine you can use daily in your eyes to decalcify. Hapé can decalcify, so you can work with Hapé often. Cannabis can decalcify. There's so many medicines that you can slowly work with that decalcification. And then let's say now, for me, my visual channel, very open. Like, I don't need anything to see what I would be seeing if I was an LSD right here, right now. Like, if I tap into that, I know what I would be seeing if I had a mushroom, or like my visual is already activated on its own. Yeah, so that's why meditation is so connected, because it's working with your pineal gland. So you want to make sure that, yeah, the water you're drinking is clean. You have no fluor. You can brush your teeth with fluoride paste if you want, but no. I don't recommend drinking tap water, fluoride water, because that's the way that they get you, is through the water. You want to drink spring water, water that's clean, straight from source, because that's the biggest way that they catch us, is through our water.
Sometimes even in the spring water. If you look on the bottle, I don't know about the US, but in Europe, I always watch, because some of the bottles says it has fluoride, even spring water. So.
Yeah, you want to make sure you're getting the best quality source of water you can around.
What chemicals in food do you know are likely to that calcification?
So acidic foods, they are bad for your gut. They just dehydrate you, and it calcify your pineal gland too. Everything is acidic that is not straight from the earth. If it's not a fruit or something like a watermelon that you literally just open and eat, it's ready to go, it's acidic. So pretty much most of our food is acidic. It's not directly from the earth. That will be alkaline. So pretty much alkaline, yeah, it's greens, raw vegetables, and fruits. So we have to be eating these foods, because they're nurturing our alkaline body. We want to have an alkaline body. Acidic body causes bacteria, causes inflammation, and causes calcification. That's why in the path of plant medicine, detoxification, dieting is part of the work. Here you just go to an ayahuasca ceremony, you pay a ticket, and then you go. In indigenous tribes, you're going to do a diet for at least 2 to 3 weeks before. You're going to cut salt, you're going to cut animal products, you're going to cut medication, you're going to cut alcohol, you're going to cut sex, you're going to cut All these things are going to detoxify your body so that the medicine can work in its pure form. So let's say if I serve kombucha these days and someone is not prepared, I don't even want to serve them anymore because they're going to have such a hard time. They're heavy, they're eating all this shit, they gluten and meat, and then they get to the circle, they have a very hard time to release. I don't even want that anymore. It's like, bro, are you down for the preparation and your experience will be better? Or don't even do it because it makes a big difference.
That makes so much sense now. Last year before I did the plant medicine retreat, I was here for 2 weeks already. So I was already eating vegetarian. And then we did 1 week of more strict diet of vegan. And then when we come to the Campbell before Bufo and ayahuasca, the Campbell didn't actually affect me at all. Like I got nothing from Campbell.
You got it, you just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's more light.
Like the Hapé made me feel more urge to purge than Campbell, which is straight. It was not the reaction of everyone else.
Yeah, detoxification is everything.
I think I was already detoxed by that point after 3 weeks, probably.
Nice.
Yeah.
I guess we should close. We're here for a while. Thank you so much
Can
for
I ask one
all of
question?
it.
I have one question.
Last question,
so
okay?
I was not at the beginning, but I did also quite some breath work, which also gave me like really out there experiences. So how does breath work, for which I take nothing but air, compare to plant med? How does it work?
So I already answered that question. I can answer too. So breath work can't provide you a psychedelic experience. It's gonna you can't open up you and have a breakthrough and a pathway of healing. Medicines will have a spirit, and that spirit is particular to a direction. It's gonna take you to an experience that was meant for you for that experience. It's different than breath work, because breath work, you are providing that experience to yourself. Does that make sense? So you're going to go to a certain place on your own. With medicine, the medicine is going to take you to this pathway. And the container and the music is very related. Very related. It's the music, it's a technology of sound and the space that will create that pathway for you. That can create a harmful pathway or can create a safe pathway for you to go and see beings, for example. Everything matters. Let's say I don't eat many things, guys. It completely, like my diet, I barely eat here, seriously. I'm eating like bananas and nuts because I don't eat this food. And then some people ask me like, why? Aren't you struggle? Like, yeah, I'm definitely struggling. I'm definitely hungry and I have my little snacks and it's definitely not, I'm not in my highest space. But why do I do it? Because now, like if I eat lentils, let's say, or anything animal product, I mean, I don't eat animal products for a long time, but if I eat this kind of things, like my vibration just goes down in a level that, and then I'm not spiritually connected. I don't feel my channels open. I don't feel my third eye open. I don't feel my vibration high. I feel like the different energy that I connect, the people that are attracted to me, the people that are not attracted to me, the synchronicities of life, everything changes just with the vibration of the food that I
Lentils
eat.
and beans are not good?
It's not that they're not good. Let's not get into that conversation, but I just don't eat them. Yeah, to just make me feel low vibes.
For her personally.
Yeah, it's a personal path. But just to let you know, like, how much these things influence. And then we ask ourselves, like, why everything is going on with me? And why I keep manifesting these weird partners, or weird friends, or weird career pathways? Like, what things keep going wrong? It's like, that's the vibration you're in. You know, animal products, they are covered in suffering. Literally, it's pure fear. It's fear. That's what you're eating. Fear. Obviously, fear. Your body. Because you're eating fear. So it's this kind of alcohol is a spirit. It's literally called a spirit. You drink alcohol, you're being possessed by spirits. Literally. So it's a choice. Do I want to be possessed by spirits? I don't. Not this kind of low vibrational spirits. Does that make sense? So it's all based on our own responsibility. So let's just go here and get our circle. Thank you so much for staying. That's so fun. Take a deep inhale. Thank you, Great Spirit, for this beautiful time here together of integration. Thank you for the space, the intimacy, the safety, and the connection that we got to share here. And I pray that this clarity and awareness just stays in our hearts and allow us to be better friends, better people, better guardians, better helpers in this world. So I thank you for all the plant spirits, animal spirits, all these angels, angel medicines that have brought us here today. And may you bless us with transformational experiences moving forward. And I ask, Spirit, that you bring community to all of us here. May everybody here have the opportunity to connect with those that they really feel safe and inspired to integrate this work and to support themselves to apply the changes, the behaviors, and the healing that you want us to do in this lifetime to really live in our highest purpose, our highest embodiment of yourself, your light, and unconditional love in this world. And I offer this circle for the whole world. May all people that feel called to receive this medicine's healing, may all have the opportunity to receive and to work with them in a safe space that honors tradition, that honors community, and that is aware of the sacredness of this work. And may we take this opportunity to send some love to the indigenous people, the real guardians of this land, the world, guardians of the earth. Thank you for your mission. Thank you for your wisdom. And may we receive our love and gratitude right now. Let's share one word for us to end how you're feeling. Or maybe a takeaway. Can we share a takeaway? Or what you received. Instead of saying a takeaway, I'm trying to stop saying takeaway. I'm like, what you taking away? You're not taking away. What did you receive today? You can briefly share.
I think that mostly for me, the knowledge that there are people. Because when I went through these experiences living in Canada where nobody has, or at least the people around me, no one seems to know what ayahuasca is. No one seems to know about these medicines. So I have nobody to so thank you and welcome home.
For me, it would be more understanding and appreciation for plant medicine and really appreciating your knowledge and sharing that with us.
Today, I think I received generosity from you, and I want to leave you with gratitude.
Yeah, I couldn't relate, even though it was like a miracle. It felt like meeting my tribe. Because a long time in my life, I was with these things that none of my friends understand. I like it quite, I would say. So it's really nice to people around me.
Where I want to let you also see this whole product fund. It's here, I have a story from those people who didn't know that the spirit on the planet also didn't know you had that spirit before. So yeah, it was, I enjoyed it. It was so fun. And other things
So I became really late. Curiosity, I would say, to lose
journey because I used when I was younger. I used just drugs for partying, like heavy using. And yeah, now then I quit because I thought now I don't use it anymore. And I have the attention feeling out of the person way of using it. Now it's a good thing to use it more. I'm really curious and yeah, maybe we can talk later how we can use it.
I guess mostly, of course, gratitude and inspiration and kind of hope for the direction of these things. Because even though they're becoming more popular and all kinds of breakthroughs, a lot of people are still really irresponsible about it and uneducated. And so I'm grateful for people like you who are trying to, I guess, educate people and spread this message. And it's just so amazing that you're doing it as a gift because it's important to you, and we can all do that a little bit, and it can help so many people, it can help the world, so I think that's amazing.
Gratitude and community. I would say curiosity as well, but from a place of fulfillment, feeling fulfilled with the knowledge that I received today, and feeling also hungry for more knowledge that I will seek and receive. So my takeaway for you, what I received from you, is that it's time to get out of your psychedelic closet. We say that in the psychedelic community. It's time to get out of the closet. It's time to share your stories. By sharing your stories, you inspire other people and you heal as well in community. So may we be a safe space to share stories. If you have stories to share, please talk to me. I love hearing stories. I love integrating stories. I love processing these experiences with you. I learn in every single share. It's always inspiring and healing for me as well. And having that as a standard, like our stories, it's what builds a culture. Culture is built through stories, so your stories are powerful, and I look forward to see you out in the world in more psychedelic spaces. Remember to put your contact if you like to stay in contact with me in case we don't see each other. Anybody wants to do that here? Okay. Let's do a group hug. Group hug! Viva Integration Circle! Viva!